Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Home Staging Talk Show Live. This will be a shorter segment today, mostly because I'm still recovering. I've got just a little bit of a cough, but had some important information to share and just kind of give a little updates and so forth. Today, of course, is Wednesday, August 11th. Okay, and so I'm going to go through some announcements, but one of the biggest things I'll go ahead and just kick off with is that today is the last day for you to submit for the Staging Industry Awards. So these are the different categories, and I want to make sure that those of you that want to submit and be considered for awards in specific categories, get your submissions in by tonight. And I'm going to tell you, it does take some time to fill out the form. You have to follow the instructions and so forth, specifically for the property categories. But you can see we're recognizing the top vacant, small square footage, top vacant regular property priced, top vacant luxury, top occupied regular property, top occupied luxury property, and then best staging success. And what that category recognizes is those stagers that have staged properties where they sell for a lot more over list. And I think it's important to acknowledge that that is happening, and specifically that staging is the icing on the cake. It's the visual element, as we all know, that compels a buyer to want to pay more for a property. Even in a competitive market, they'll pay for more. So we added that category this year. We also added the high production staging company to recognize companies that do 200 or more stagings per year. And I know there's a lot of them out there. So I think it's important to recognize the volume, production, and revenue that's being generated in the industry. And these are not individual awards, by the way. There'll be multiple winners in these categories, all of them, the property and the production and the success category. And then top small staging company would be 1 to 2 people on the team. Mid-size is 3 to 5, and top large is 6 plus. And these are people that are actually in the field staging, not your operations people, not your sales force or whatever. It's your stagers, your movers, the team that actually implements the staging projects. That's the category. That's who you count to figure out which category you are in. You can self-nominate, of course. Again, those will not be individual awards. There'll be multiple winners in those categories. And then the Rising Star is an individual award. We have recognized runner-ups in the past. So that is for somebody who has been in the industry for a year or less, right around there. You're growing your business. You're accomplishing great things. You're excited and so forth. And we want to acknowledge those we believe are rising stars that in the future will be the overall stars in the industry. And the Trailblazer Award is to recognize people that are doing things to advance the industry, whether it's education-based or initiative-based. They're getting out of the box. They are finding ways to help and advance the mission of staging and so forth. And that may be an individual award. It could be multiple people can win it like we did last year. So it depends on who's nominated. And then the IHOS Spirit Award is given to the person that encompasses the spirit of IHOS, which is, our mission is all about giving back and helping people and serving others. And so through the years, there have been a lot of really wonderful recipients. It's usually an individual award. There have been a couple of years where we have done 2 people because they were so neck and neck tied in the voting process. We issued it to both because they were both deserving. And then the last one, the Staging Excellence Award, is an individual award. And this recognizes the individual that overall in the industry has demonstrated staging excellence in their work and their leadership and how they serve others in their service to their clients, to the industry. They're the overall package. And so that is an individual award. So you need to go on to stagingindustryawards.com, stagingindustryawards.com, and submit through the portal. Now, it's really important that in order to be subjective with the voting, because tonight at midnight, this all stops. You can't submit anymore, and it goes into the voting process. And the voting initially will be private with our members, the industry professionals and so forth that are industry members, and people can vote. And then on the 18th, it will open up to the public for 1 week. And so the public votes will be weighted only at 15 to 20%, depending on what I said there. And then the industry professionals, our member votes, will be weighted more heavily. So we don't want people stacking the vote publicly and so forth. They have to be an industry member in order to cast a vote in that category, and people have to fill out their information so we know that it's legit. And so that's the award. So don't delay. I know I've been submitting, I've been nominating other people, and that's the goal of the awards. Whether it's the best of home staging, some people were confused about that. That recognized excellence in staging, client care, and industry leadership. And it's recognition. It's not like we give you a trophy. So it's very different. It's and that was open again to everybody. This is also open to everybody. The Staging Industry Awards. It's not just IHOS specific. It will be the winners will be announced at our conference on September 26th live, and you don't have to be present to win. If you are not present and you do win, you'll have to pay to ship your trophy award to you. But the Best of Home Staging was recognition. The lists are out on that site, bestofhomestaging.com, and people were recognized in various categories. And it's our pleasure to be able to do that, because when you think about awards, and some people may not 100% agree with me on this, but the reason awards are given in recognition is not to necessarily glad hand each other and say how fabulous we are, but it's really about the clients that we serve, to let them know that we're qualified to work with them and that we are top in the industry. And so some of the awards here, like the Spirit Award and so forth, and the Excellence Award, those are peer-to-peer recognition. Others are for public to know that you're qualified. So nominate your colleagues. Don't assume someone else is going to nominate the person. Take the time to do it. Please be careful when you're submitting your property awards. You cannot identify the company name or your name in any manner, so that when the voting is done, it is totally subjective. And you can upload 6 pictures. You can also upload a movie, a video, and the video needs to be 30 megabytes or smaller. So make sure you format it correctly. And your photos need to be 5 megabytes or smaller. And the reason for that is because this platform that we're using, there's a limit on how much storage or space we can take up with all the submissions. Otherwise, we'll get bumped into another much more expensive category. So we did limit the number of photos and the sizes, and you can submit up to 2 properties per category. So if somebody submits more than that, the extra one will be removed. And I'm going to have to go through and do all of that before the live voting starts tomorrow. So anyhow, I just wanted to make sure you all were aware that that is happening. It's very exciting. We've been issuing awards since 2003 as an association recognizing excellence in the industry. And this year I've been monitoring, and there's a lot of really great submissions that have come in. So don't wait, don't delay. And I'm just going to put it out there. If people don't submit, you're not going to be recognized. And I cannot extend the deadline at all to make exceptions for people like I've been asked to do in the past. I cannot do that. Everybody had the same information and deadline. So there are people that have not submitted that have been award winners in the past, and they will not be recognized unless they get their stuff in. So if you're listening to this, get on it this morning so you can get recognized. All righty. Our conference is coming up live in Denver. And so here's a little promo for it that I wanted to play. Hope you can all hear that. Chris is going to be amazing. We're excited to have Johnny Fowler, our marketing keynote. And then Robbie is joining us. He has our mindset keynote. And then our inspirational keynote is Shauna Barber. We did a show a few weeks ago. I'm really looking forward to her talk. So, and if you're watching, go ahead and say hello. I can't see who's talking or posting anything, but if you're watching me live, just say hello, Jenny. Anyway, 4 keynote speakers for the price of 1. Our event brings you such excellent education. And then, of course, so this is our keynote speakers you just saw, and all really excited to be with us. And no matter how many people are there, whatever the size, they're going to deliver great content with enthusiasm, and will motivate and inspire and educate you. And then we also have, of course, our general sessions. So these are our general session speakers. Joanne, Joseph, and myself are part of the marketing designation you'll be getting, the sales and marketing specialist that we're issuing this year for conference. And this was decided on by our leadership team as far as where we wanted to go with their education designation. So it's not just so you know how to market yourself, but it's also how do you add value to the process when you're working with your realtors or your sellers, your investors, and so forth? How are you helping extend that reach for marketing for them? Because that adds value to your process. And so you'll be learning a lot about that with these talks. Our realtor panel will also touch on that. You have John Norris, Stephen Norris, and John Reagan on the realtor panel. They will be on Sunday, as well as I think Joanne's on Sunday. And yeah, the schedule for the conference, by the way, is up on the iHosp Con Expo site. You can see the conference schedule. And then Sandra Ray's will be talking about trends, which we're super excited about hearing. That's always a great topic. And then we have our breakout session speakers, and they are right. Hey, where are my breakout session speakers? Where's my graphic? Here we are. The breakout sessions are based by your experience. So whether you're beginning, intermediate, or advanced, you'll be put in specific rooms, and the speakers will rotate. So June Carter is talking on increasing your business success, being organized and efficient, and so forth. Marianne will be talking about marketing to realtors and how to get their business. So that's a beginner session. On the right under the logo is Bridget King. She's actually going to be doing her talk twice, one for the intermediate and one for the advanced group. And she's talking about different market niches that you can develop in a business. And we had her on the show. She has what we call a boutique business. I almost named the small business award a boutique business recognition, but that's a stager who doesn't want to have a giant warehouse and all the logistics that go with it. And so there's a lot of ways you can carve out niches in different service areas and still make a lot of really good money. And so she's going to teach about 7 ways to do that. So we're excited for that. Leslie Kramer will be in the advanced session talking about, getting your business properly set up now so that down the road when you decide to sell, or maybe you decide to add a partner or whatever, that you are set up properly for the financial analysis that will take place on that and the steps you need to take now so you are prepared. Karen Mendenhall and Kat are sharing a session, and I believe they're in the intermediate group. They're going to talk about occupied home staging and how to make a lot of money doing that. There's a lot of stagers that shy away from occupieds. I have someone on my team, my daughter, who really doesn't like doing occupieds that much because, you have to touch people's stuff, and it's harder sometimes creatively to pull that look together. In fact, I know it's harder creatively. I think vacant can be more labor intensive, having to load up all the furniture and, the cost that goes with that as far as having to purchase all those things. However, the occupieds to me are more creatively challenging because oftentimes you're relegated to using what they have based on their time frame and budget. They're still living in the house. So there's certain things that we won't provide in an occupied home, and you're working to bridge the gap and make those properties look more marketable and sellable to the target buyer. So they're going to be talking about that. And if you know those two ladies, that's going to be a dynamic session. Amy Powers, I love her session. It is on soaring above with an attitude of appreciation. This kind of goes along with my session, which is a discovery session. And by the way, I sent out an email to all registered attendees to complete a DISC profile. And there's a website that you can fill out. You figure out what your temperament is. So I need you guys to do that because that will help me to know the room, if you will, where people are situated as far as their temperaments and personalities, so that I can kind of speak directly to that. And Amy's going to base her talk more off of the love languages. And that's an excellent book. If you've never read it, The 5 Love Languages. It's not about personalities. It's about things that make us feel loved that other people do for us. And so the 5 love languages, acts of service, physical touch, words of praise, quality time, and gifts. And so all of us have a primary love language, and their theory is when our love tank is empty, because we're not receiving our love in the language that we like to receive it, then kids can act out, people will feel disconnected and so forth. And so it's really about understanding and learning what your family members and your significant others' love languages. And there's even the love languages in the workplace. So what are your team members' love languages? And so you can speak to that so they always feel appreciated and valued. So I'm excited for that session. Teresa Thomas is going to be going from SOAR, SORE to SOAR, and sort of a mindset journey and things that all of us have experienced along the way. And so being able to benefit from hearing how somebody worked through challenges and came out on the other side, still standing, is really important. And then Tori Toth will be in the advanced breakout sessions, and she'll be talking about marketing and video. She's always excellent as far as her knowledge and her background. So we're very excited to have all of our breakout session speakers as well. And then following the conference, of course, is the advanced stager training. Why do I still have this one on here? Let me do this one instead. The location was wrong on that one. I got to swap it out. The advanced stager training is going to be happening the 27th and 28th. We are fortunate. We are blessed to have Chris Widener and Johnny Fowler joining us for that. They're going to stay over and speak directly to this smaller, more intimate group of business owners. Frank Moyer will be there talking about financial business planning, being able to turn your company into its own financial vehicle to be able to grow and down in the future, maybe even have the possibility of being a partner in other people's expansion. So how can you accomplish that with your business? And as an entrepreneur, things you need to be doing now to prepare for your retirement as well. We don't talk a lot about that in the business. And I know a lot of people have, spouses or whatever that might have a regular corporate job or something where they have a 401k, they have a retirement plan. But, there's a lot of us that don't. John and I are both self-employed. We don't have a retirement plan. We don't work for a company that has a 401k that is going to set us up. We don't have a pension. And so we have to make sure that we have things in place for ourselves so that when we do decide to step away, we are okay financially. And you have to plan for that now. Joseph will be talking about marketing, and I'll be pulling out or revealing our new program that I've been working on. I'm really excited about this. It's really coming together nicely. It's all about scaling your business, program for business growth. And SCALE stands for start, climb, advance, lead, elevate. And in each of those acronym, each of those letters, there's things that your business needs to have in place in order for you to grow and scale your business. And scaling, I used to think it was like franchising, like you're, growing and then you can expand and add more outlets, which can be part of the overall scale plan. But really what it is being able to work your way out of the day-to-day and have your business run without you having to run it. And there's, some stagers have accomplished that. It's hard to actually get yourself completely pulled out because you do get pulled in if things go haywire or certain people leave. And so being able to scale is putting systems and processes in place. And so this will have not only the process of how to do that, but all the documents that you're going to need to use that will be rolled out at the advanced stager training. And so I'm excited for that. Joanne and Sandra will be talking about marketing strategies as well for business. And then Sheila, I asked her to come and talk because, again, kind of along the lines of Frank, the financial side, a lot of us have been in the business. We work on properties, we work with investors, we work on short-term rentals and so forth. And rather than just be the person that makes them look pretty, why don't we talk about being the person that actually has a piece of the pie and how to step into the role of actually benefiting from the actual sale and not having to come up with all the capital on your own? How can you, contribute and be part of an overall group of people that might have a vested interest in a property? How do you start doing that? And Sheila has done this. And so she's going to speak to that at the advanced stager training. So I'm fortunate. I'm happy that she's coming and doing that with us. So those are our speakers. And it's not like you're sitting in an audience and people are talking at you. It will be very interactive. You have questions, you have challenges. We will be first brainstorming about areas that people would like to talk about, and then making sure that we cover all of those during our 2 days together. Your meals are included, your lunch and dinner on Monday and your lunch on Tuesday, possibly breakfast, it depends. And again, that is being held at the Gaylord Hotel, which is our headquarter hotel for our event. It's a beautiful hotel. I have been in frequent contact with them about things that are happening currently with the virus situation. I'm so over it, but I know it's still happening. And so I just want to make sure you all know that are watching and now or in the near future, we have a huge ballroom. And I know that if social distancing is mandated, we'll need a seating for, so many hundreds of people, even though, whatever number we have, I have to multiply it by 6. And so, because I want 6 feet apart from people. So the hotel is fully aware of all this, and they're going to make sure that our event can be held live, that all the precautions are taken. I have flown to Oklahoma City. I've gone to Houston. I would go into the Vegas market, and there's a choice I'm making not to stop my life because of the virus, but to take proper precautions. And I have had COVID. What I had recently was just a really bad cold. John and Stephen both had it, and so I got this lingering, annoying cough and congestion. But it could also be weather, because of course Denver was ranked the worst air quality in the world this week because of all the fires, and not in our state, but coming from the west. So the California fires and the Oregon fires, all that smoke is coming over to our state and just hanging here. So I don't know if some of this is also related to that. And then we're also redoing our landscaping and adding things, and there's just been a ton of dust related to that. So, but the best thing we can do is, take your vitamins. Those of you that know about supplements and so forth, there's a lot of natural remedies out there. Vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin B, elderberry, echinacea, zinc. If you take those have been proven to help stem the potential exposure to the virus. If you do get it, it lessens the intensity of it or prevents you from getting it because your immune system is strong. So if you have not ever taken supplements, maybe now is the time to start. John and I have done them in a whole marriage. It's been over 30 years. We've always taken supplements and vitamins because, even brain vitamins or things to help you with mental acuity and your eyesight. So all sorts of great stuff out there. But in general, vitamin C, up your dose of vitamin D, echinacea, natural immune system enhancer, B, but elderberry has been targeted for the virus, and also zinc, of course, for colds and so forth. Be careful if you take too much zinc, because there are some people can have an allergic reaction to it that feels like really severe gut pain. So just be mindful of that. Don't overdo it. And so we are going to be there live, and I'm super excited. We have a roaring 2021 Great Gatsby Gala. Things are coming in for our centerpieces. We have people who have volunteered, thank you so much, to help with our event, from registration and check-in to helping put centerpieces together. And so I'm surrounded by boxes here at my house. We're going to have a fun time. And you can come in costume. If you just want to put a hat on or some beads or a wig or whatever, and you don't have to go get a dress, that's fine. But we're going to have a good time. And it is the great wrap up of our event. Normally we do our awards dinner and so forth on the second night of conference. And this time we're doing it on the third night. We're going to wrap up with a big party celebration, music, fun, awards, food, dancing. So it's a true celebration, and I am just looking forward to having everybody with us there. Let's see here. I did want to share. Oops, where did it go? Oh, here. Our sponsors. So our sponsors so far, we have more coming on. Make sure to frequent these shoppers. Thank them for supporting our event. This has been an odd 2 years. A lot of the companies have struggled just to get their merchandise sold. And, then the manufacturing, delivery times and so forth has made it even more challenging. And so I just want to say a special shout out to all of our sponsors. We appreciate you so much. Again, I will be going to Vegas Market, and our goal is to secure more sponsors that want to partner with us. They go right along with our Savvy program. You can see the logo up here. ShopSavvy.pro is that website, ShopSavvy.pro. And on that portal, you'll be able to access all of our approved vendors and other people we're adding. So it could be somebody that sells one item. It could be like a service provider. It could be staging insurance, or it could be financial planning, or it could be chairs and furniture. So everybody's being funneled through the Savvy portal specifically so that we can ensure that our members of the Savvy program are getting the attention that you need in order to get your orders processed timely. Sometimes we can sort of end up in a black hole at times when these companies are slammed. We're not a big giant retail store. And so if a field sales rep is going to work with a stager who might have a smaller order versus focus on these larger, bigger people, it makes sense that they're going to focus on the larger people. And so sometimes we don't get the attention that we need. And so this is a way to make sure that happens for all of us. There's strategies for being able to combine orders with your colleagues in your area. If delivery is an issue, we have solutions for that. So, being able to shop wholesale saves a lot of money. And again, so I'm excited to go to Vegas. We'll be airing things live from Las Vegas and sharing some of the new trends that we see there. The markets are always the predictors of colors and trends that are coming. And we, as stagers, we want to stay on top of that for our businesses. So I will be going out on the 21st. Market starts on the 22nd. And I'm meeting with leaders of the IMC there as well, the International Market Centers, for partnering opportunities and all that good stuff. So looking forward to being there. And then lastly, I would like to say we are doing our master's course, which we will be incorporating the scale program in as well. That's going to be the week of October 25th. So we have a date and we have a location. It's going to be in Dallas at the Market Center. We're contacted by Michael Bauer, who runs the Dallas Market Center. He actually had wanted us to come and speak and do our presentation there. We had done it at High Point, and then COVID hit. But it's a great facility, and it's centrally located in Texas, because most of our requests for the masters have come out of that state. And so we're putting that together. We'll be releasing that, so you'll be able to attend and advance your business success and grow. The master's courses are always very intimate. We break down specifically your business. It's a safe environment. Nobody's judging anybody, but we look at your profitability, really establish your business overhead and so forth, so that you know moving forward where you are and where you need to be, making changes and so forth in your business strategy. So again, that'll be the week of October 25th. It usually is 5 days. And so I did scale it back to 4 days in the past. We might do the 5th day and actually tour the Dallas Market Center, which Michael has offered up to us. So that is something we're working on, but just pencil that date down, and it's open to anybody in the industry. You have a functioning business right now. You don't have to have taken, the ASP course as the precursor. As long as you have a foundation in your business and you want to advance to the next level, you can join us. And so that will be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. We've taught it in Plymouth multiple times with Blair and Will, which I love going up there. I've taught it in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I've taught it in Atlanta. I've taught it in Washington, D.C. I've taught it in Denver. So it goes all over the place. It's been taught on the West Coast in the past. So we do always move it around. And we just have never taught it down in the South area. So I think it's time, especially since we have a ton of industry members that are in that state. So, all right. I don't have anything else I really wanted to share with you outside of, I hope your businesses are, thriving and growing. And one of the things at the advanced stager training I will be talking about really is how to keep the leads flowing. And I've been testing a strategy, and I have a couple other people testing right now for me as well. They'll be able to talk about the results of that at the advanced stager training and the difference it makes in your business. So being able to find ways to make sure the public can find you. And is it social media? Is it advertising? Is it, dropping things off at offices? I mean, what is the secret recipe, the secret sauce for getting the leads consistently coming in so you have the volume that you want? So that's the goal, because we're not in this to just, have a bunch of furniture or have clients and not have any money coming in, right? So we want to have money coming in, and in order to do that, you have to market. And that's why I wrote the book, Marketing Made Simple, which is geared towards our industry, Marketing Made Simple, the strategies for helping you, succeed. And one of my staging sayings is, those who market make it, because marketing always precedes sales. And there's so many stagers. You're all wonderful. You're creative. You have a passion for the industry. You love, pulling houses together, but you're not a great marketer. And that's not a criticism at all. That's just a fact. There's a lot of stagers that were very creative. But we don't know the business side. And then being able to get the business can be kind of scary. Nobody likes to be rejected. Nobody likes hearing the word no, right? And so when you pick up that phone and you make a phone call, you have to lead generate. And this is for any company. You have to generate sales. You have to generate leads to get the sales. To generate the leads, you have to market. So marketing always comes first. Then it helps create leads that you then have to, opportunities that you have to close the sale. And so it's a step-by-step process, but that's the piece that oftentimes people miss. And they think just because they have a website and you're on Instagram, you have a Facebook profile or what have you, that people are going to find you. And the fact is that's not necessarily true. And so you want to be using your time in the most wise way and using the platforms that are out there and being able to sort of outsmart the algorithms. Johnny Fowler is going to talk a lot about that with Instagram and Facebook at the conference and also at the advanced stager training. What I'll be talking about will be a different approach. And of course, I use all those as well. But this is something else that I'm doing in addition that I know has made a huge impact in our ability to get consistent leads. And so that will be discussed at the advanced stager training. So when you're there, you'll be able to hear all of that. And I'm excited for the people I have test driving the process. And of course, I've been doing it for a year, and I know it works because we have been slammed. We broke records for January. We broke a record in May. We broke a record in July. June was the second best month ever. And I'm talking about going back, 10 years or longer. I've been doing this 20 years. So I've been tracking my data for a decade. And so, I like to see success like you guys do as well. And there's ways you can do that with spreadsheets, and then you can create bar graphs and so forth. And so I have an ongoing bar graph that shows me, how much new revenue that we generate each month. And I put that into the spreadsheet, and it shows me how much growth we have. And I know, for example, for July, it was a 30% growth over the best July we've ever had, which was in 2018. So 19 was okay. 20, of course, sucked because of COVID. But this year, we didn't just get back to where we were in 2019 or whatever. We actually blew past our best year ever. And that could be our market. It could be other markets. I believe our marketing obviously is working. The messaging we have out there, it tells me that in our market here that more people understand the need for staging. And listen, it's a slamming hot market in Denver. It's not a slow market. It's been slamming hot. But even in that, with people's attitudes of like, you don't have to stage, the house is going to sell anyway. You don't have to put any money up for staging. That's the attitude I hear some agents express. And, NAR has the profile of home staging. So there's about 30% of agents that recommend staging regularly. And the old 80-20 rule? Well, I would venture to guess that in that it's a 70-30 rule, but that 30% is capturing 70% or more of the business because they're doing more to help their clients. And the 70% that say, you don't have to do that, they're leaving money on the table and they're not adding value. And so when an agent put that on a Facebook post that my husband had shared a successful sale and talked about the staging, and this person wrote, "Oh, staging's a waste of money. You didn't have to do it." So of course I commented professionally, but I'm always going to stand up for our industry. And so what I shared was, if that's the attitude that you don't need staging and anything will sell, why do they need a realtor? Why does a seller need to use a realtor? Can't they just put it on the MLS or the FSBO it for sale by owner? I've even known of sellers to put it on Facebook, say, I'm selling my house, and they find somebody who buys it off of Facebook. So do they really need a realtor? What is your value that you're adding? And so if that's the mindset of where people are going, you have to add value. And staging is a value added service to not only the business process of a realtor who believes in actually doing something before it hits the market to make sure it looks its very best. It will net the very best price. So it adds value to their business, but it also adds value to the sale because it will net the very best price, and their seller will not be left leaving money on the table. And in a hot market, they may sell for they want to get every penny out of the sale. They're also buying in this market. And yes, there are states you can move to that have lower property prices, but pretty much everywhere it's a hot market. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we have experienced a bit of a slowdown. There has been an adjustment in Colorado, and I hear about it in other parts of the country as well. And part of that, I attribute it to buyers who were so frustrated they couldn't get a property. They bid on 8 or 10 properties. They keep losing. There's a point where those buyers are going to exit the process and say, I'm just going to wait it out because they're so it's having bought a property last year and lost out on the first 2 that we put bids on. It's emotional. And you get your heart set on a property. You're like, oh, this will be perfect. And then you're not the chosen one. And you think like, well, we didn't even get a counter. Are those 2 offers? We weren't even given the opportunity to come back and say, we can offer more. So it is disappointing. And so there's a point where buyers don't want to keep putting themselves through that. And I don't blame them. So that's one of the reasons. And then also, July is a lot of travel month. So maybe there weren't as many people focused on buying a property in the summertime. However, we definitely have noticed a shift. I have houses that are cycling into the second month, and up to July, we really hadn't had much of that. So I know a lot of that depends on the price point. We have some higher price properties that may take 60 days to sell, 90 versus 30 to close, get our stuff out. But in general, that's what we're experiencing. And so as a market starts to shift and buyers then get a little bit more concerned about, why haven't I gotten an offer? My house has been on the market for 2 weeks. Shouldn't I have had multiple offers by now? They're going to start looking for strategies to get buyers interested and excited about their property. And that's a huge opportunity for us as stagers. So our August magazine just came out as well. I don't have a picture of the cover, but the August magazine, it's all about hot August. What's red hot for your market? What are red flags for staging? And there's a whole conglomeration of people who commented on Facebook when I posted that question. And I mean, some of them are just funny, things that we've all experienced. So there's the red flag warnings, top 5 trends from now until the end of the year, moving into 2022, and how to change your marketing messaging. So I put together some different verbiage you can use, even some visual examples you can use, and how to, attract the client you need with the market that is shifting. And sellers, and it's always really challenging for realtors when a shift happens, because sellers oftentimes blame the real estate agents when their house doesn't sell. Like the realtors have some sort of impact personally on what's happening with the market, and that is not it at all. And so sellers have to respond. That's why realtors do market comps, and they need to adjust things according to what the market is doing. And so if things are shifting, and it can't just be throw your house on the market and get whatever number you want. Now it has to be based on the comps. It has to be supported. House has to look good. And then that'll be the one that'll be the chosen one. And so I hope that we are headed into more of a normal market, if you will, where it's not such a feeding frenzy. But whatever your market is doing, you have to make sure your marketing messaging matches your market. And so you need to do your research. And this is also in the magazine as well. The statistics for your market. How many days on market does your market currently have for certain price points, certain cities, so that you can actually target your marketing messaging for the realtors you want to work with, for the type of properties you want to stage, and the areas that you want to stage. So I don't know if you're catching on, but marketing is not just throwing up a bunch of mud on a wall and hoping some of it sticks. It's very strategic. You have to be very strategic in how you market in order to get the type of clients and the type of properties that you want to stage. And so part of that is understanding what is happening in your market. And so you might say, well, I'm not a realtor. How do I get that information? Ask a realtor. You can ask them for that data. That's part of what's collected in the MLS that they pay for. There's a lot of companies also that actually accumulate that data and put it out there. Title companies will do that. Real estate companies will do that. Peripheral companies that support the industry will do that as well, that are data driven. So there's no shortage of information out there. And that positions you as more of an expert because you understand your market versus just somebody that likes to make houses look pretty, which in general, sometimes that can be the impression of what we do. But we are business strategists, and we're helping people sell their largest asset, which is their home, to be able to make money off of it and help them move on to the next phase of their life. We play a big part of that. And so never feel, don't diminish your impact, don't diminish what you do, and understand your role in the industry and the part you play in the overall picture that takes place. So that is my word of advice for today. And, I love marketing. That's my background. And I understand what it takes to get the business. And so if you are sitting there and you don't have a lot of inquiries or phone calls coming in, you need to market yourself. And marketing, it should never be where you market, and then you have a spike of activity and then you stop marketing, because what will happen is you'll drop off because you didn't continue to market, and you're going to have this roller coaster impact in your business. So you always want to be marketing and then, closing the sale. Those go hand in hand, and then you'll have a consistent business growth like this versus this roller coaster. And, I love roller coasters, some of them, but I don't want to be in a roller coaster in my business. So I never panic when there's a week there might be a lull. I used to in the very beginning. I'd panic if the phone didn't ring and I didn't get inquiries. And I'm like, oh my gosh, is all the business gone? And now, of course, I have other people to support. I've got team members. I have a functioning, overall business that has a lot of expenses that go out overhead. I have to cover those regardless of whether or not I have a staging. So yes, I have to hustle for the business. We have to sell. We have to be productive in order to cover the cost to run the business and then make a profit. That's what we're in business for, is to make a profit. So I think we'll be talking about, have a pricing discussion coming up next week. We'll talk more about your value and your pricing and your strategies for that as you move forward. I have a lot of people who do write to me and ask me about pricing. If you're watching this and you never were taught how to properly price your business, you don't even know what to charge as a stager for your market, whether you took a class or didn't and you're just guessing, that's not a good strategy. And I'm happy to provide information. So we'll be talking about that next week. But certainly, pricing needs to be in line with what your market supports and the property price. And what's interesting is I did require that for the awards submissions, because what we're going to see when those are put out there is there's some properties where their budget was $2,300 to do a $2 million penthouse. I'm speaking about us. About $2,400 to do a penthouse for 30 days. And some of you might go, I wouldn't walk out the door for less than $3,000. Well, you're not in my market. I'm not in yours. And yes, I'd love to make more money. However, in our market, I know the strategy for pricing. And if I price too high, I don't get hired. And so I'm not in this to just send a bunch of proposals out and not have revenue coming in. And you're going to see some people that have a really generous budget for their properties that they staged. And it could be 10,000, 15, 20,000. So those numbers need to be real. And we wanted to know what the parameters were. So let's say it's a $10,000 staging. Was that for 30 days or 90 days? You got to make sure to put that in there, because that will be part of the criteria that the judges will be looking at, when we're looking at all of the parameters, and those need to be considered factors on the final outlook of the product as far as how the house turned out. And it'd be great if we could all get a certain number to stage our properties and had all this, cash we could invest in inventory and so forth. The reality is it's really different all around the country. So it varies in your market. It varies the type of property. It varies on who the client is, what their budget was, what you can do for that. So those are all factors that need to be considered. And that's why submitting your awards takes a little bit of time, because you have to look that information up and provide that for the submission. So, all right, well, I am done for today. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll be back next week, and we'll be talking about pricing. I hope to have our guest, hoping Kat can join me. I was not able to have her on because I wasn't feeling well, and then our schedules haven't synced up. But she's one of our speakers at our conference, and then we have other breakout session speakers and main stage speakers that will be joining us between now and our conference. And please do not wait to register. We need to know the numbers. But most importantly, the hotel, we have a room block. And as typical with hotels, they cut off the room block about the month prior to the event. So we can't, our room block with our guaranteed room rate will end in about 2 weeks. So you can make a reservation, even if you're not sure you're coming or not. Make a reservation. I think they might charge one night of the hotel fee, but you can always cancel it. So it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it, because then you'll either be paying really high prices or you won't be able to stay at the hotel. And it's right by the airport. It's really convenient. So make that reservation and then get your registration for your ticket. So we have a general price. We have the VIP price or the priority ticket. If you have team members you're bringing, we start giving scaled discounts for more people that you bring, the less that person's going to pay for their registration. You can bring a +1 to the dinner, to the keynote speakers and so forth. You can bring a +1. So those are all spelled out for you at the ihospconexpo.com site, ihospconexpo.com, for you to register. But, we're getting down to the wire. And as far as meal planning and so forth, it would be great to know that you're coming so we can get things put in place and so forth. So that is it for now. And I will be back next week with another show. It's always great to be with you. Thank you for tuning in, those of you who joined in live, and those of you watching later. Hope you have a great week as well. Bye.